Ah, good morning. Hi, Donald. Donald, is the sound okay? I'm got my new gizmo. Hi, how you doing, Brian? Again, I'm still checking the sound. Hi, Steve. Nigel, how are you? Can anybody tell me how the sound is? Hi, Owen. Does the sound okay? Oh, good. All right, thanks. How's it going, Sean? Okay, good. I've had to play around with it. Hi, Guy. Graham, how are you? Okie doke. Today, what I want to do. Hi, Paul. Kirk couldn't make it today. Uh, he's got. I guess he's busy doing something else. But hi, Hater. I'm hoping. Let's see. Paul is here. I don't know if. See, about probably about 11 o'clock at night in Hong Kong, where Benny's from. So I don't know if he'll make it or not. Okie doke. This is sort of the first live stream that we're having with the 6801 group and the new Lyrique 2 group. So I invited people from both groups. Those of you who are new to our discussions, welcome. And those of you who have been around for a while, also welcome. Anyway, let me tell you what we're up to today. We have two payments that are going to make tomorrow. One is to Booten, Lannon, and Caton, and it'll be a total of 58,274 Swiss francs, which is probably just north of $60,000. And then to Matthew, the name, it looked like the spell automatic corrector. That's not how Matthew's name is spelled, but anyway, um, we'll be paying him 4,170 francs and 1 cent. He had this sort of a strange number. I think it came up because of the added VAT that we're supposed to get back at the end of all of this. We'll see. Excuse me. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to be doing. Um, we've had a lot of mobility, I guess. We have a huge number in the standby pool. And so people who have changed their mind have not had a problem replacing them. In fact, I think the people in the standby pool have encouraged them. So anyway, I'm hoping that those who aren't sure drop out now before we send off the money for the first payment. Otherwise, their money's been spent if they've already sent it in. And that was one of the things we had warned about right away. If you're going to get into this, this is not something that you can send money into and say, "Oh, I changed my mind. I want a refund." That's not the way things are done. One of the reasons I wanted to get it off to Booten, Lannon, and Caton is because they said it takes 4 or 5 months to get the sapphires. They have to have these sapphire uh, glass uh, for both the front and the back, the top and the bottom of our case, and then getting to work on our case as well. So that's one of the things. The other thing, um, with Aganor, that will be another major payment. I was going to wait until our kitty was a little bigger, uh, just to give us a little more padding room. But that'll probably be perhaps as soon as before the next meeting, before next week. Um, Okay. All right. So those are that's one of the things that we don't have. We don't have a clear price from Comblamine. The reason for it is I had talked to Matthew. I said, Matthew, let's get a price down so we can sort of settle on the price. And he said, well, wait a minute. He said it would be better if they had the design and so forth. So then we could get a better price that way. And in the past, we found out that listening to Matthew was not a bad idea. So again, that's what we did. Um, okay, so those are the first thing. Any questions or comments on that? No? Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I guess. Oh, okay, Hater. When will the payment after this one be expected? Well, first you got to get this first one in. We got to get all of them in, Hater, and they're not in yet. And so what we'll do, I would say probably. Well, let's see. Once we get this one in, I think we'll get a little better idea of the timing on it. And so, what I'd like to do is, yeah, there are three payments. Hater, that's correct. Excuse me. um, but the timing of it, what I like to do is, give people enough time to save up for the second payment, myself included, so we can afford it. And also sort of taking a look at what we need to get started on. We needed to get started on the movement, the case, obviously the designer. I think we should get started on the dial and hands next. So those would be, I think they're like 30% down. The designer was 50% down. So I'll take a look at those and see, okay, when can we do it that would optimize it for us? Because we've got a pretty big payment to Aganor initially. And what they have to do, they have to order all of these different parts that they need. The um, the plates and bridges and this and that. And there were going to be some changes to the what I call the 3 o'clock plate. That plate that was a little off whack. We had talked about this. I talked about it some with Matthew, and it's maybe rather than having Geneva waves on that, is to have some kind of engraving. I think maybe even an engraving that would match the guilloche that we decided to go with. That I think would be very interesting. The watch that actually somebody did that, and that was Rolex with their Cellini prints, and something like that might be an interesting thing to have. And so when they see the watch at the Grand Prix, they're not going to say, "Oh, this is just last year's." In other words, we're not going to be like Tudor. We're going to have something a little more than a new paint job. Is there enough in the kitty for Aganor now? Yeah, there is, Brian. I mean, there will be at the end of the whole thing. There'd be more than enough. The thing of it is, though, I like to leave a little breathing room. The some of you who I've sent the some of uh, the financial information to, we got a thing in my billing that has this big long list, and they're all zero, and we've been getting free transfers. My bank and most other banks will have something between a $15 and $20 transfer fee. Mine, because they think that I'm rich. After the last one, we had so much money going through there. They thought, "Oh, this guy's rich," so we're gonna. They jacked me up to a platinum, so I don't have to pay any um any transfer fees. So we get that free. We had paid by this time last time we had paid $1,600 in transfer fees. This time, zero. At least coming into my bank. By the way, that reminds me, some of the other people's banks, they'll send in something like, let's see, $3,285. And the thing was that their bank clipped them for 15 bucks or 20 bucks. And so we ended up with some of these things. I've been sending all of this information to Paul and Kirk and Benny. So I haven't finished Benny's yet. I'll get that off today. But anyway, yeah, we've got enough for Eganor, but I don't want to see how close we can come to, because I have to have at least $5,000 in there so that we get the free benefits. What I had done, I took out. I can't use my own business account anymore. What I did, I had, I think, $7,300 in there that I had left in there, and because I wanted to have at least $5,000 plus another 3,300 for the first payment. And so finally, when there was enough in there, I took the rest of my money out of there except for the 3,300. And so now all of the money in that account belongs to Lyrique, including mine. So, but like I said, I want to be sure that we have that, at least that $5,000 pillow, so that we're not getting. I think the total will save on that's about $4,500. I know that's not a lot when we're dealing with close to $1 million, but still, it's something. Yeah, I think, I know this may sound stupid optimistic, but I have a really good feeling about this watch in the Grand Prix. We're going to enter it into the men's category. Now, you might say you're going to get slaughtered in the men's category. All right, maybe not. This advice was given to me by someone who knows it inside and out. Okay, so we'll just do that and see what happens. I mean, even if we make the nomination, that's really something. But I think this watch, the one that we're working on, is going to be very, very special. Also, too, um, there was a little change that Agenor had to make in the movement. I mean, part of the construction of it to sturdy it up a little. And I'm going to ask you now: is that still AGH 6801 or is it 6801.1? I think it might be a .1. So then we'll have a new movement too. Like we're fooling people, but they didn't look too closely at the first one. Yeah, Donald, that's my feeling too. Every bit counts. We're gonna have, like, just to give you an example of where it'll count. It's a 700 Swiss francs entry into the GPHG. That covers that. If we go to nominations, there will be another 7,000 Swiss francs that we'll have to pay them. Again, that will pick up a big hunk of that. And so, instead of coming from sort of our heart and soul, that'll help pick that up. Anyway, I mean, I don't know why I am so optimistic about this watch. I mean, in a lot of ways, mainly because I think this time around we know a lot more than we did before, and also too, I think that Matthew is going to create a unique guilloche design for us. So that's another thing that's very exciting too. I mean, not only do we have a unique movement of our own, we also have a unique guilloche. Even though the ones that Combly Mine have are really very nice. Okay. The other thing is, let's say I got two more things. Mike Nussbaumer is still waiting to hear from the Swiss government for the Sandlight Swiss account. Uh, the Sandlight Swiss account, for those of you guys who are new to us, um, it's sort of a stopgap, right? We wanted to have a Swiss entity, and nobody came up with a Lyrique LLC in the U.S. It's usually probably the most economical place to put one up. But I had Sandlight for a number of years, and so I was able to use that on the first one. So on this one, I thought, well, until we get the other one, I'm gonna put that together. We still haven't heard from them. Um, and Mike is our financial representative, by the way, and he'll be helping out with a lot of the accounting and things like that. How is it changing ideas of the dial process is going? Oh, how is changing ideas of the dial process going? Guy, um, I'm we really haven't started that yet. This is the thing that we have to get done is, first of all, we have to get an agreement with Combly Mine on a deal. Matthew is a good friend of the CEO of that company. Apparently, I believe also, Combly Mine is owned by Booten Lannon, and he uses the guilloche on his are done by him. What we'll do is that I really haven't talked to Matthew very much about this. Some time ago, Owen put together a what's called like a mood board. Is Owen here? I thought I saw Owen. There he is. Yeah, Owen's here. He put a mood board sort of to get the sense of what we were hoping for, and we sent that to Matthew. And so Matthew is like in very, very high demand. And so that was another reason I wanted to get him on board as soon as possible. The other thing is, too, I think one of the things that I picked up very clearly is that the watch companies really like doing business with us. I think there are two reasons. One, we're actually talking about horology and how important that is to us. And the other thing is we pay our bills on time. So that we were a little late getting started with this time around because it was just took us a little longer to get rolling. Um, I think they figured, as soon as I said, okay, could you give us an estimate on it? We were the next day they'd get something because that's what normally happens with us. Once we get an invoice, it's right away. But we had to go through a lot of other things to get started with that, and so tomorrow, in fact, maybe later today, I'll be sending a transfer to both Booten Lannon and Caton and Matu. So in terms of developing the dial, what it's going to look like. Once we hire Matthew, I think we'll get some ideas. And he took the ideas as sort of the sense. There's something called a mood board that we used last time, and Matthew, the one that Owen made up, is the one that he's used, and I think it's going to be a very cool watch. One of the things that we may end up with, and again, this will depend on everybody what you guys like. One thing I didn't know, for years, I dealt with fonts. I couldn't design a font. I can't draw a straight line. It's not that, but I understand fonts, because I was writing all these books on, page makeup and things like that. And, so I'm always very excited about any font being used, and I leave it to the designers because I have no design, none whatsoever. Uh, but I understand it really well. I'm sort of like a gourmet who can't cook as far as fonts are concerned. And one thing I found out, Matthew said, a lot of people in this group had said, let's have a Breguet font. And I don't know, on the first one, I thought, no, let's not. We're gonna try something totally original, and that was what we got. On this time around, we may have the best of two worlds. It turns out that there's no sort of standard font for Brigade font. In other words, you can't um, order from the fontographer or one of the other font places a Brigade font. You have to sort of get something and then fix it up yourself. Well, Matthew said, "Well, what if I fix it up for you guys?" I thought, boy, wouldn't that be neat? Have our own Brigade font. And so that's one of the things he's working on. He also sent me, and I shared it with everybody. I think he put it on, or I put it on, or somebody put it on one of our mutual things. And these hands by Boot Lannon, and they have what's called a pome, Pome, means apple, and the Boot Lannon hands have sort of this palm with a point on them. They're not like our observatory hands. Both hands, they're uh, they're sort of like a palm with a point. And they're very cool looking, and so that's another thing. So I think that once Matthew is can focus on us 100%, which I think he'd like to because he likes working with us. We'll be able to go a little further on that guy. I don't know if does that answer your question for you? Okay. Thanks, Brian. Um, all right. Let's see. Okay. The last thing was Kirk couldn't make it today. I don't know if Benny is here. Paul is. Paul, you have anything you wanna add, or anything that for the rest of us that might be that we could help out with? Okay, yeah, I've got a pretty big waiting list or a standby list for Europe, so I'll be sure you get all of those. I get new ones every day, so we have that's one thing we're not lacking. But I will get to those. I know, and like I said too, we don't want anybody to make a first payment and change their mind later. I'd rather have them change their mind before they made any payment, because as soon as they make a payment, we've already spent some of that money, and I can't say, "Oh, hey, hey, you guys, could you give us back?" So we can't do that. I'm keeping you busy as it is. Yeah, but you know, Paul, if you didn't have something to do, you just get in trouble. So it's a good thing. I talked to your wife about it. She said, make sure that Paul keeps busy. Yeah, I tell you, all three of the guys have really been busy because uh I've been trying to there's by the way too, I have somebody sent $3,300, and it's some company like XYZ company. I have no idea. They didn't leave a single clue who it was from. I mean, well, they did, but it was like XYZ company, and nobody said, "Oh, well, I'm doing that." And then I've had some other ones that are the strangest amounts. Paul, I think you may have one, and you may wonder how certain amounts that came up. Not only that, but they were put into two parts. Um, yeah, Brian, Brian, and I don't know, half a dozen other people, it seems, with Zelle. Zelle is very efficient, but they have a limit to it. and it varies. Some people have no limit, others have $1,000, some have 2,000, it depends, and so there are a lot of ones that are coming in like that, but that's okay. Um, yeah, right. We've got it's something. One thing I discovered, I was able to, I don't know, I gotta probably have a visit from the bank examiner, but I figured out a way to download all of the transfers that are coming in. Now my bank sends me these notices in PDF files, and I put those all in another folder, but I like to get all of them. And if you sort of going through all of the things, my bank says it doesn't give me much time before it shuts down. It doesn't want anybody messing with our money, which is fine with me. But what I found out I could do, there's a certain little magic thing you can hit, and it'll download a spreadsheet file for you. So I took that and then I put it in Excel, and I'm able to use that and see it. But still, there are some people that and I don't know. Uh, I think that Kirk said be sure to have your name in the memo section. Some people say, "Well, they didn't have a memo section for my transfer." So, oh well, their names are in there somewhere. And some of these names, my God, there's one person he likes to use a one-word name. He's got a name this long with 4 different, name is John Smith Jones, Funkenagel or something, but he just wants to put one in. Wise, Graham, you are so right. Wise has been great. Um, I've had to work with some people. There was a guy the other day, um, who had trouble with a transfer, and it didn't go through, and I was able to help him with it, and I'm pretty sure he used Wise, and it was very easy. So you're right. Wise is a great thing. It's economical, it's efficient, and, yeah, that's a good one. Wise and Zelle for the US if your bank has it, and Wise otherwise. The only trouble with Zelle is sometimes they make you do it in little bits, but otherwise, that's fine. Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you, and you have no idea, Paul, how grateful I am to you and Kirk and Benny, because, if you think your one thing is tangled, my God, it's a lot. Yeah, internationally, yeah, Wise, they would very, very good one. Okay, does anybody have any questions or anything else you wanna ask or add to, what we've had? No? Okay, well, okay, if you guys, if you everything's cool? Uh, by the way, too, we do have that new, website set up, for the people who are involved with Etude number 2, and, I've given the URL to, everybody, so you ought to be able to get it all right. Okay, doke. Take care, and we'll see you next week. I'll probably be talking to a lot of you before then. So take care.